Okay, so hopefully nobody's watching my video because I'm replacing it with this one. Hopefully I said. Alright, so I wonder how different this is going to be. Am I right? Yes. Change to addition. So now we know that's going to be a bunch of negatives added together. So 34 plus 87, 1, carry the 121, negative 121. Take care of these two first, right? So we just So 13 plus negative 76 is what you should be looking at first. There's more negatives, so let's find the difference between these two. And you get 363, negative 63, which you're going to subtract 87. You can change that to addition, and you get negative 63 plus negative 87. A bunch of negatives together becoming just a happier group of negatives, and you get 150 if you add 63 plus 87, and everybody's on the negative team. Likewise here, this one, there's more negatives, so my answer is going to be negative. And 61 and 23, 11, 3, 8, 5, 38, negative 38. Then I got to do the second part here, minus 8. Change that to addition again. And you get negative 45, I hope. Here, again, two negatives. Nice. So 21 and 53. Let's see how many negatives we have. We got 4, so I have so far negative 74 negatives. Minus 12, which you again can change to an addition. So it's negative 74 plus negative 12, and you're going to have 86 negative. Okay, wasn't that bad. So it says here, blah, blah, blah. He bet $10.25 on each bet, and he lost all of them. So what does that mean? What's the interpretation of this? Well, let's find out what that is. So it's negative times 5, 25 goes 2, 12 goes 1 is 5. Nope. 12 goes 1. It should be a 1, sorry. Why did I put a 5? So it should be a 1, and then finally a 5. And my decimal is going to be here. So it's negative. So why is a number negative? Because it tells me that in the context of this story, he lost $51.25, right? He lost, and here's my negative in terms of story-wise. I'm going to use loss to represent my negative sign. So he lost $51.25 on 5 different bets. Moving on. It's a negative times a negative, so that's a positive. So let's just multiply. So can we simplify anything? We can. The 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 1 times 8 is 8, and 15 times 3 is 45, and that's going to be positive. Let me put the 6 over 1. So it's a negative divided by a positive, so right away I can tell my answer is negative. So let's do some switching here, right? Negative 6 over 1 divided by 5 times 1 is 5. 9 over 5. Negative 6 over 1 times 5 over 9. I can simplify the 6 and the 9, right? Divided by 3 is 3. Divided by 3 is 2. So I get 10 over 3 negative, remember? And 3 goes into 10 3 times, 1 left over with 3. So either this one or this one. So look at your multiple choices. And depending on what they are, you leave it as a improper. You change it if necessary. So this is just division. I'm going to change 0.45 to 45 over 100. Change our division to multiplication. Simplify what I can. In this case, this divided by 5 is 20. This divided by 5 is 9. 7 times 20 is 140. 9 times 9 is 81. 81 goes to 140 one time. 40, 60, 59 left over 81. One of the two is fine. So this one, I'm going to do my subtraction first. Let me just write this again. 4/5 minus 4/7. All that divided by negative 3/8, right? Because that's what that fraction was, a division. So let's take care of the inside. It's 35 minus 35. So it's 5 times 7 times 7 is 28. 7 became a 35 times 5. So on top times 5 is 20. 28 minus 20 is just simply 8, or I just get 8 over 35, which I'm going to multiply by this, but I'm going to take advantage and multiply by the reciprocal, which is 8 over 3. It's a positive times a negative, which gives me a negative. 8 times 8 is 64, and 35 times 3 is 70, 105. So for this one, I think it says the temperature was negative 15. By evening, it was 12. So you know definitely one thing, temperature went up. All right, so how much did it go up by? So let's do a number line. Here's a number line. Let's pretend this was negative 15 in the afternoon. And this is somewhere 0. Here's 12. And this is the evening. Is it evening? Yeah. So it definitely went up. It got warmer, right? So how much did it get warmer by? What was the change here? So you can obviously tell that from 15 to 0, it went up 15 degrees. We're not done yet because it also went from 0 to 12 is another 12 degrees. So in total, if we add 15 and 12, I know that the temperature went up 27 degrees. So that's what I'm looking for, 27 degrees. Which of these expressions, this one, this one, this one, or this one, has a chance of giving me 27? It doesn't say which one you would use to find the answer, but it's saying which one represents 27 degrees. Well, the first one is gone because there's no way that's going to be a positive 27. Garbage. Absolute value. Remember what absolute value is. It's the distance a number is away from 0. So take the absolute value. The absolute value of negative 15 is 15 minus 12, and there is no way that that's going to give you 27. Negative 15 minus the absolute value of negative 12, which is 12. Does that look like it's going to give you positive 27? Garbage. So I would just bubble in this one. And to make sure, here's my absolute value. Negative 15 minus 12. So let's change that to addition. Negative 15 plus negative 12. Not taking the absolute value yet. Let's find out these two. It's a negative plus a negative, so it's a negative. 15 plus 12 is 27. What's the absolute value of negative 27? Negative 27 is 27 spaces away from 0, so that is 27. Isn't that what we wanted? An expression that represented 27? So here is your correct choice. Change that thing into a something. 13 divided by 16. 16 doesn't go in, so right away it's going to change to decimal. 8 times 48 goes for 128. 4 left over, bring a 0 down. 16 goes into 42 times, which is 32. 8 left over, bring a 0 down. And 16 goes into 80 5 times. So it's a terminating, it's not a repeating decimal, it's one that terminates, that ends. It ends right here at 0.825. Okay, and if you were to round this, I don't know, to the hundredths place, which would be here, you would write 8.3. So it's a lot of things that the test might ask you to do with that answer. Find two numbers that are 7.5 units from -1. Okay, so here's 0, here's -1. So let's just make a few lines here. And let me go a few lines over here. So if you're here, and I'm standing 7.5 units away, where would I be? Well, if you go to the left side, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So let me up and a half. Oh, let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So I'm be here. So that'd be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -8.5. So one of the possibilities is -8.5. If I go to the right side, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So I'd be somewhere over there. So that'd be -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So I could be in either of those spots. Which expression is the same? Careful here. So there's some positives over here, some plus. So let me change that to an addition problem. Remember that addition, adding has the commutative property of addition that says if I get 3 plus 5, isn't that the same thing as 5 plus 3? So 7 plus -23 can also be written as -23 plus 7. That's another way of looking at it. So which of these expressions, 4 expressions, mean also means 7 minus 23. Is 23 minus 7 the same as 7 minus 3? So this is garbage. 23 plus negative 27. First of all, the 23 has to be negative. And both of mine here, they're negative, so this is garbage. We're left with these two. Well, this one says 7 minus negative 23. Well, if you want to change that to addition, you get 7 plus, and the opposite of negative 23, 23 is 23. They're both positive, and that none of mine have two positive numbers, so this is garbage. And the only one, and this looks very similar to this. Subtraction. You get negative 4 1/3. Let's change that. 12 is 13 over 3, negative, and then 56, 61 over 7, right? Let's change this to addition. Plus negative 61 over 7, and we'll change that to 21, right? Because that's the LCM. 3 times 7, and then times 7 is 21, 91 on top. 7 times 3, and then times 3, you got 3, 183. And they're both negative, so that's easy to do. So this is going to be negative 21 at the bottom, and 91 plus 183, 417, 274. Negative, sorry, already negative is right there. 274, which if you change to a mixed number, you can always just divide. That's probably the easier way. 21 goes into 27 one time. 6 left over 4. You're going to get 3 times, which is 63. 1 left over. We can stop here. We're not going to go into decimals. So 21 goes into 274 13 times. Remainder 1 over 21. All that negative. Again, 5 times 2 is 10. 14 over 5 plus 8 times 9 is 72. Negative 77 over 8. LCM is 40, right? Plus something over 40, but negative. 8 times 14 is 2, 112. 5 times 77, right? Because it's 8 times 5, so times 5 is 35, 385. There's definitely, it's going something be over 40. You just don't know if it's positive or negative, but it is negative because there's more negatives. And how much more? Well, it's going to be 372, negative 273. 40 goes into 273 6 times, which is 240. 33 left over 40. Negative. LCM is 20, so we're going to change both to 20. This one really looks very easy. So times 2 at the bottom, so times 2 on the top is 6. It's going to be something over 20, right? Let's change it to addition. 6 over 20 plus negative 9 over 20. I think that's easier for you to see. The denominator stays, and on top you got 6 plus negative 9, which is negative 3. 4/5 is negative 0.8 minus 0.85 minus 0.25 plus 0.113 negative. So I know I said it the other day on a similar video. The fifths, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5 is 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. 1/4 is 0.25, 2/4 is 0.5, which is half. 3/4 or 3/4 is 0.75. Those you should memorize. So once you change everything to decimals, this is nice because it's negative 0.8 plus negative 0.85. They're both going to be negative, and 0.8 plus 0.85 is 1.65. Minus 0.25. So again, we change this to addition. You get plus 0.25 negative. All right, so again, a negative and a negative is going to be a negative, and 165 plus 0.25 is the same thing as 1.90. Now you have 90 negative, 1.90 negative, plus the last one, which is 0.13. Again, it's a negative plus a negative, which is going to be more negative, and $1.90. Think about $1.90 if you add 13 cents. Sorry. You add 13 cents. You're going to get $2.03. Negative 2.03. R. It's division, division, and then multiplication. So let's -4/7 times -5/2. Let's take care of those two first. Simplify here. 1, 2. Negative times a negative is a positive. 2 and 5 is 10. 7 and 1 is 7. So let's leave that like that. And then I'm going to take 10/7 because the only part I was working was this part right here. I'll multiply that by -3 and 1/4. 4 times 3 is 12. 13/4. That came out to be positive. So now multiply. Simplify. This becomes a 2. This becomes a 5. 14. 65. And this is negative or positive? It's negative, but that was negative. So final answer, -65/14. And if you change that to a mixed number, let's see, 65 and equals 14. 3 times, 4 times. 56. 4 times 56, you have 50 minus 6 is 9 left over. So it's 4. 14 goes 65 4 times, 9 left over. 14, don't remember, don't forget, everything is negative. Subtract, so it get 3 times 3 is 9, so it's 10/3, minus 9 times 7 is 63, plus 8 is going to be 71/9, and then you're going to divide that by -1/6. So let's take care of this first. LCM is 9 times 3 times 3, you're going to get 30. And 71, and that's the same thing as 30/9 plus -71/9. And it's a positive plus a negative, so there's more negatives, so it's going to be something over 9, and I'm going to write 9. And then 30 plus -71, it's going to get more negatives left over, so you're going to be -41. We're going to multiply that by, or divide that by, and let me write that so it's nice and neat. And that's the same thing as 41/9 times 6/1, negative. A negative times a negative, oh, let me simplify, 6 becomes a 2, 9 becomes a 3. 41 times 2 is 82/3, and that's going to be positive. So change the mixed number, 82 divided by 3. 2, 6, 22, 7, 21, 1. So 3 goes into 82. 27 times, and 1/3 left over. So Mark bought, so again, Mark bought 5 bags of flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each weighs 5 and 2/5. 5 and 2/5, 5 and 2/5, right? So it's 5 and 2/5, 5 and 2/5, 5 and 2/5. That doesn't look like 5 and 2/5. And the other one, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and each bag is 4 and 2/3. Right, I'm not going to write all of them. So we want the total weight of all these bags combined. So here you have 5 bags times 5 and 2/5. Here you have 9 bags times 4 and 2/3. So let me take this. So it's 5 times, let's change that to a whole number, a mixed number. Now, improper fraction, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27/5. If you multiply this and this, become 1 and 1, which is 27. So this becomes 27 pounds. Let me change color. Blue, the 9 bags. So it's 9 bags times 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14/3. If you multiply, this becomes 1, this becomes 3, and 3 times 14 is 42. So all that equals 42 pounds. Since I want to add those two, I add 27 plus 42, and I get 69 pounds in total. So this question says that the book that he's reading has 45 pages, and he's read some pages on Monday, some on Tuesday, some on Wednesday, and some on Thursday. And he wants to know how much are left for him to read on Friday. So let's add what he has read so far. Plus 1, plus 5 and 2/3. I change everything to so let's change 7 times 4 is 28, 31/4. 65, 66 over 5. And this I'm going to put 1 over 1 as a fraction. 15 and 17 over 3. So I wrote that all as improper fractions. Now, find a common denominator between 4, 5, and 3 and 1 means that everyone is going to share a denominator of 60. Because that's the LCM. So we got to find equivalent fractions. So how did the 4 become a 60? Times 15. So I'm going to multiply 31 times 15. And that's going to be 5, 15, 31, 365. 5 times 20, or 5 times 12 is 60. So I'm going to have to multiply 66 times 12, and that's 2, 132, 66, 692. It's going to be times 60, so on the top is times 60. 3 times 20, so on top is 340. So that's simple enough. So let's add. So it's going to be over 60. 365, 692, 60, and 340. If I add them together, I got 7, carry the 1, 10, 22. 10, 22 plus 4 is 26, goes 2, 12, plus 2 is 14, 1,467, which I'm going to change to a something, mixed number. 1467 divided by 60, it's going to be 2, 120, 267, that's going to be 4, because it's 240, and then I'm going to have 27 left over. So that's the same thing as 24, 27 over 60. And that's how many pages she has read so far. 24 pages and 27 out of 60 of the next page. So I know the book's 45 pages long, yeah? So I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to subtract this way. 45 and 24 over 27 over 60. I'm going to subtract like that. Now notice if this was a decimal, you would put a 0 and you do some borrowing. So it's the same idea here. But so if this borrows, so if that empty space borrows from the 45, this becomes a 44. And that throws 1 over here, right? But I don't want to write 1 over there. I want to write another way of expressing 1. Another way of expressing 1 is to write 60 over 60, which makes my life easier when I'm subtracting, right? Isn't that the same thing as 1? Now I can subtract. 60 minus 27 is like 33 over 60, I hope. 44 minus 24 is 20. So this is how much left he has to read on Friday. And I can simplify this, but I didn't. So, or 11 over 20. Right? If I simplify, divided by 3 is 11, divided by 3 is 20. Yeah. That would have been your 5 minutes. So now this is the question that, was the thing that fluctuates the price. So you need to figure out. So the baseball card was a certain value Monday. It went up, then it went down, it went down, then it went up, and it went up. So at Friday, is your price higher than it started on Monday or lower? So I'm going to write this as a addition problem. Right? If you wrote 12.5 minus 3.75, it would be the same thing, right? If you change for addition. So plus negative 15.42. So I guess I'm just going one step ahead. Plus 24.39. So I have to do these two boys first. Right? There's more positives. So it's 12.5 minus 3.75. Add a 0. So that becomes borrow from here. That becomes a 11, that becomes a 14, 10 minus 5 is 5, 7, what is this, 11? 8.75. So now I'm at 8.75 plus negative 15.42, and in this case now, there's going to be a negative answer because there's more negatives, right? And let's figure out the difference between those two. 15.42, 8.75, I'm going to have to borrow 14, 13, 12, 7, 6, 6. So now I am negative 6.67. So at Wednesday, the price of my car is lower than what it started on Monday. But on Thursday, look, it went up. Somebody where people started getting interested in the card again. So the price of the card went up. So find a difference. You know the answer is going to be positive because there's more positive. So 18.22 and 6.67. That becomes a 7. That becomes 12.11. That becomes a 12. So 12 minus 7 is 5, 5, 1. So now the card is up 11.55. And last day, plus 24, it went up even higher. So that's a good story. And I can actually use this 24.39. If I add, I get 14, 9, 5, 35. So at the end of the week, my card was a positive 35.95. 35.94. So when you're writing the sentence, you need to write the word increase or decrease, depending on what you get here. So in this case, we have a positive 35.94. So I'm going to write that the price of the card increased by the end of the week, okay, because the change here was a positive change. So let me write 35. It's 35.94. Remember that number, 35.94, 35.94 positive. Second part says, what was the price at the beginning? So here's my start, here's my change, here's my final. So on Friday, my final price was 105.35. I know that the change was 35.94. So what did I start my week with? Obviously, this number has to be lower than 105 because it was in the somewhere low. It went up 35 and it became 105.35. So to find your start, it's final minus change. The final is 105.35, and we're going to subtract 35.94. Subtract, borrow from here, that becomes a 0. This becomes a 10, which becomes a 9. This becomes a 15, which is going to be a 14. That becomes a 13. 13 minus 9 is 4. 15 minus 5 is 9. And this. So at the beginning of the week, my card was only 69.41. Right, like it had a great week, right? A lot of people started getting interested, and it shot up $35.94, and my card is now valued at 105.35. So that's it. There is no bonus word, but there is. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to wear mixed matched socks. So your socks should be different. Your left and the right should not be of the same color or the same style. Okay, so that's your bonus for tomorrow. Okay.